Hey, welcome or welcome back. This story we're going to talk about is about Dylan Redwine. He was a bright, handsome 13-year-old little boy who loved playing sports, and he was a mama's boy. Dylan found out about his father, Mark Redwine, 51-year-old, fetish and secret. And Mark had to get rid of Dylan for this particular situation. Stay tuned for the story. So, Dylan was dead set against visiting his dad on November the 18th for the Thanksgiving break. His mom wanted to keep him also, but she called the lawyer and she was advised to put him on the plane. See, Elaine and Mark, Dylan's dad, had a custody agreement, and it was now Dylan's dad's turn. She decided to comply with the custody agreement. But let's hold on right there, y'all. This is just a thought that I wanted to express to you all. Always follow your gut. At this time, her mother, Dylan's grandmother, was actually dying on her dying bed, and she did want to see Dylan. The mother could, in fact, use that in court if, Mark had a big issue with it. But what I want to say is always use your first mind. You're not going to be put in jail. It was not going to be a drastic situation. This is nothing against Elaine. She had nothing but great intentions. But by us listening to this story, we can learn from this story. So, Dylan got off when he got off the plane. The cameras at the airport and the Walmart showed noticeable tension between him and his father. See, before this trip, Dylan, his brother Corey, and his dad went on a trip to Cleveland to a football game. There, Mark would go to sleep when they got back to the hotel. Dylan gets Mark's laptop. For some reason, Dylan goes to Mark's deleted files. There is where he found photos of Mark with a wig and makeup on, then with women's underwear on, then another with women's lingerie on, then a video of Mark with a diaper on, y'all, eating his own feces. Now, shortly before this Thanksgiving trip, Corey sent Mark a text saying, "Look in the mirror, beautiful. You are what you eat." Corey was trying to let him know, "I know," without letting him know, "I know." So then a day or so goes by after that text. Mark and Dylan have an argument where Mark says Corey or Elaine, which is Dylan's mom, are not good role models. That pissed Dylan off, being that he saw what I just told you about his father. So Dylan told his father what he knew, and he had Corey to send the pics. Okay, so now back to the Thanksgiving trip. So because of that, Dylan was uneasy. He tried to go to his friend's home immediately, but Mark said no, he wanted to go to dinner. Dylan said, "No, let's go to McDonald's drive-through." And y'all know why he said that. But anyway, he then texted the friend and told him he would be there the next day at 6:30 a.m. That's how bad it was, y'all. To make a long story short, after the McDonald's trip, I think they got back home. I think there was tension that flared up. I think Dylan told his daddy how he felt. From what I researched, he was a very vocal child. I don't think he held anything back. I think that enraged Mark. Mark probably was trying to convince Dylan that it wasn't him, and Dylan was very certain that it was him and probably said a few choice words. They found blood on the couches little splats of blood on the floor in the home. So I believe there was a tussle. A little more research I did that said that a few of his wife's friends was teasing him about what Dylan and Corey had found, and he went and got a log after them, and they drove away. I believe he had that same log, and he hit Dylan over the head maybe several times. Blunt force trauma. And that is how Dylan died. But that's only my opinion. The police really don't know exactly how or what, but they do know it was blunt force trauma. So this happened in 2012. In 2013, they found tennis shoes from what tennis shoes and the outfit from what Dylan had on at the Walmart. It was out in Colorado mountain area. They found his Nike Jordans, and again the outfit that he had on, size 7, matching shoes, everything. So in spite of everything I've told you, they don't have a body, they don't have a skull, they can't tell how he died, really didn't know if it was Dylan just yet. So we get to 2015, and that's when the skull was found. Even when the skull was found, they did not arrest Mark. Mark moved to Washington in 2015. So once they got the skull in, they changed the investigators. So another district attorney took over. He was eager to convict Mark of this crime. So finally, July of 2017, which is 4 years really after this horrific thing happened to Dylan, he is indicted. Mark is indicted in Washington on child abuse and second-degree murder. Since the beginning, Dylan's mother always had an idea that it was Mark. And she fought, and she did not let this rest. And I do not blame her. Thank you, Mom, for not giving up on your baby and fighting for justice. This father murdered his son because of his fetish. I'm sure I wouldn't want anybody to know that I'm eating my feces. The other stuff is pretty common, dressing like a woman, they do that every day. But there was another way to handle this, You hurt your baby because of a secret that you wasn't even sure if he would tell, He was telling you the problem he had with it. He never said he'd tell the world. So the trial lasted about 5 weeks, y'all. But the jury only took 6 hours to convict Mark Redwine of this horrific murder. He was sentenced to 48 years. I will have Corey's testimony for you to see. He's going to tell y'all in depth of what he and Dylan found in Mark's laptop. Thank you all for listening. My final thoughts are, if you have secrets that you don't want anybody to know, put your things away, first of all. Any deleted files on a computer can be pulled back up. Then if you don't do that and somebody you love finds that, you find a way to make it right. Or, just stay away from them. but do not murder them. Fix your problem with a therapist or whatever. You could have told your son, I'm going to therapy for it, or whatever. This story was sad. Dylan was as handsome as he could be. A great baseball, football player. He loved his mom. His mom loved him. Have y'all ever heard of this story? Tell me your thoughts. Blue hearts for Dylan Redwine.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence you are about to hear about and about to see is being admitted for a limited purpose. The photograph, is just one photograph? Four. The photographs are not being admitted to prove the defendant had a bad moral character, and the jury cannot use this evidence for that purpose. The photographs are being admitted to allow the prosecution to attempt to prove that the defendant became violently enraged when confronted by others concerning his sexual preferences. The photographs are also being admitted to allow the prosecution to attempt to explain the deteriorating relationship between the defendant had with Dylan. They can be used by the jury for these purposes and no others.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, in the event it's necessary, we renew our objection.
It's noted for the record.
So, Mr. Redwine, in 2011, did you and Dylan go together on a trip with the defendant?
Yes.
Where did you go?
We went to Cleveland, Ohio, on a little road trip, and went up to Detroit and just kind of spent Father's Day up in that part of the country, just seeing baseball games and race car races and stuff like that.
Did you spend the entire trip on the road?
Yes.
How did the trip start off? Did it start off well?
Yeah. Me and my brother got a call. Mark had just flown into town. So he called me, asked him to come pick him up. So we went, me and my brother went to his house, or went to the airport and picked Mark up. And then from the airport, we went back up to his house for the night, where we stayed, just to where we could get an early start on the morning.
Okay. And then you drove off to the East Coast?
We drove up through Kansas and Iowa, and we're headed up to the lakes up there, Cleveland, Michigan, those states up there.
Was there a point in time in that trip that Mark went off somewhere?
Yeah, there was a few times where, he would leave, and me and Dylan would just hang out together.
And was there a point in time when Dylan used the defendant's computer?
Yes.
Did he find something on the computer?
Yes.
Can you explain to the jury what he found?
He found pictures of Mark dressed in women's clothing, wearing a diaper, taking selfies of him wearing the clothing, wearing the diaper, eating the feces that was in the diaper, and just that's pretty much it.
Dylan, back in 2011, was he 12 years old?
I believe so, yeah.
How did he react to seeing those photographs of his father?
He was pretty disgusted. It was something that he kind of had to try to contain himself. When we found the pictures, we were in the hotel room with Mark at the time, and Mark was sleeping, and Dylan was on his laptop, and I walked into the room. I had a conversation with my current wife, just checking up on her since I was on the road. And when I walked into the room, Dylan just kind of grabbed my attention, was trying to be quiet, but obviously was energetic, kind of, like, come here, I got to show you this, kept pulling me, and then he took me into the bathroom where we closed the door and locked it, and that's when he showed me the pictures that he had found.
Did it impact his view of the defendant moving forward?
Yes.
How so?
Dylan lost any reasons for him to look up to